a mobile device. But what we're going to do is get rid of all these buttons and just make a giant screen. A giant screen. iPhone 3G.
The iPhone 3GS is entirely
iPhone 4.
It is the most beautiful product we have ever made. And this is iPhone 5. iPhone 5C.
Newest iPhone.
The iPhone SE.
Is iPhone 7. iPhone 8 is iPhone 10. I'm excited to show you what is by far the most advanced iPhone we have ever created. This is iPhone XS.
Unless you have been cut off from all society for the past decade, you most likely know what an iPhone is. To me, my iPhone has been part of my life from the very first release. A couple weeks after my 8th birthday, I received my very first iPhone, and it has been a strong part of my life from there. Today, I have the iPhone XS Max, and I can say I have owned every iPhone model known to man with no regrets. Apple has integrated it into almost every aspect of my life, from phone, to iPad, to computer, to earphones, to watch. And I'm here for all of it because I am an absolute Apple fanatic. To me, the iPhone was one of the biggest disruptions into my life because it changed the way that I use technology forever. From when I was a little girl to now, it's been in my life. Apple technology touches every part of my life today, and my iPhone is with me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and that is all because of the creation of the iPhone. The iPhone was not only disruptive to me, but to the entire world, and it is something you would consider to be a disruptive technology. From what I took away from Week 1 Part 2's video from the Harvard Business Review was that disruptive technology is something that is not something new, but is something that is innovative from something that already exists, and it is something that is less expensive and usually lower quality that allows this product to be accessible to people that before this disruption would not have been able to access it. Many times, these disruptions can cause chaos for companies that have the product that was innovated upon. The disruption can cause the innovated upon product to become obsolete. In this case, the creation of the iPhone drove flip phones and phones that had keypads to become obsolete. It is very rare to see someone with anything else but a smartphone today. While flip phones still do exist, they are not even a fraction as large as the production of smartphones today. In the case of the iPhone, I am not too sure if it was exactly cheaper at first to acquire a smartphone, and still today, the iPhone can sometimes be obnoxiously priced. However, it is still available to the masses. Almost every friend and person that I know owns an iPhone. Something can also be looked at as disruptive if it changes our culture, and I don't think there has been something that has changed our culture more than the iPhone. It has connected us as one and brought us all together. Basically, anyone in the world is available to you in just a few clicks. We are now a culture that somewhat lives with our heads in our phones, with most people I know spending an average about 4 to 5 hours minimum just on their phone. It has gotten to a point where our lives revolve around our phones and not the other way around. That simply was not the way that the world worked a couple decades ago. We use our phones in almost every way in our lives, from finding the best places for dinner, FaceTiming our friends that live across the country, ordering clothes, going on social media, or even doing the simplest things as playing a game. There probably has not been something more disruptive to the way that we work as a society and as a culture besides things like cars, the electricity, and the internet. There is almost no way to argue that the iPhone is not one of the most disruptive technologies that we've ever faced as a human race. I chose this technology because, like I said, it has been part of my life for over 10 years now, and this technology has shaped the way that I have grown. When I was younger, this device simply was calling my mom and dad and telling them that I needed to be picked up from soccer practice early because there was lightning, or to let them know that I was going over to a friend's house after school. At the time that I got my first iPhone, there were not many other kids my age that had cell phones. So at the time, for me at least, it was not to be connecting with my friends. As I progressed into middle school, social media came onto the block, which is a whole different entity in itself. First, it was Facebook, then Instagram, then Snapchat, all of which are here still today. The iPhone was what launched my generation into the world of Instagram and social media as a whole. Since the idea of smartphones and this type of technology was so new at the time, in my middle school, there were many times where the usage of our phones got out of hand. There were numerous times where others were bullied via iPhones, or there was also an issue with inappropriate content being shared amongst kids as well. Since there was such a lack of education amongst parents and such freedom on the kids' side, the usage of our iPhones could get out of hand very fast. Into high school, I really don't know if I could say the craziness that occurred on the iPhones got any better. However, as I got older, the more my life started to become more integrated with my iPhone. In high school, with my phone, I was constantly in touch with my friends. We were always in a large group chat communicating with what was going on. Whether it was about an assembly that we had to go to, or the plans that we were making on Friday nights after school, the iPhone gave us an independence without our parents. The iPhone connected us all together and brought us closer. There were points where this connection could become a bad thing. If there was a party that someone wasn't invited to and it was all over Snapchat, the drama would begin and explode into a monstrosity. All of this craziness occurred because of the creation of the iPhone. Towards the end of high school, I used my iPhone to find myself my college roommates and meet others that were going to the University of Arizona that lived all over the country. Today, my iPhone keeps me connected with all of my friends that go to other schools across the country in our iMessage group chats, and I keep in touch via FaceTime to the family that I don't see as much because my family moved from Arizona to Chicago when I started school. From an outside view, saying my life has been fully affected and shaped by an iPhone could be seen as a very bad thing. However, I think this idea applies to almost everyone that is my age. If you were to ask them if you took your iPhone away and it had never existed, almost every single part of their lives would have been different. The iPhone may have come around for a different reason than you think. According to an article written by Business Insider, the creation of the iPhone came to be for no other reason than Steve Jobs hating an employee at Microsoft. It was not Bill Gates, but there was an employee that Steve Jobs simply could not stand. One day, this employee told Steve that Microsoft was coming out with a touchscreen tablet that was going to change the computer forever and beating Apple. This launched Steve to make something even better and more innovative, and came out with the iPhone. Today, the iPhone is designed to be as simple and user-friendly as possible, and to make it as easy as possible for us to communicate to others. Apple wants to be the first to everything new a smartphone can provide, and have the best and newest technology out at all times. While it may not have been its original intention, the iPhone has brought the internet to our fingertips and has given us the idea of always being on. Almost everyone is what is referred to as always being on, meaning that they are reachable at any time of the day if need be. This is all because of the iPhone. As much as the iPhone is a positive thing, there are also negatives that come along with the iPhone being in existence. There are actually studies that show that the iPhone inevitably causes us to multitask, causing our brain speed to actually slow down and give us long-term memory loss. The smartphone has also brought us to a place in society where we are always on. I spoke about this a little bit earlier, but this always on idea can be a really negative thing according to an article written by Dana Boyd. There is no way in this day and age to not always be on unless you are literally living off the grid. This overwhelm can be very detrimental to our mental health. We as humans are constantly being pushed with things on social media, expecting to be able to respond to an email, text, or phone call in a timely manner, and there really not being any way to stop that. As much as being connected is a wonderful thing, it can also drag us down. Overall, the biggest issue surrounding the iPhone is our privacy. Today more than ever, all of our lives are on our phones. Everything from the private conversations we have on our texts to the banking information on our phones. In a scholarly article written in 2016 titled "The Real Security Issues of the iPhone Case," there is an outline of security issues taking place within the government. The FBI is trying to work with Apple to have them create a software that would open and show them everything that was on our iPhone. However, Apple is very reluctant to do so. This is because when a software is developed, it is unlikely that it will ever be completely deleted. Eventually, the software could fall into the wrong hands, allowing just about anyone to get into our iPhones and hack into all of our valuable information. Additionally, the FBI wants Apple to create a software that could track certain keywords to usages that would make it easier for them to track down potential terrorists. Again, Apple is trying to refuse this because this just gives the FBI more look into our private lives on our phones, and there has to be some balance between giving up your freedom and being safe. We are in a time period now where we have to fight for our freedom when it comes to technology because there are not many laws to protect us. In conclusion, the iPhone is an amazing thing that has been disruptive to all of us in many ways and will continue to be for a long time to come. While there are issues such as slowing down our thinking, creating us to always be on, and sometimes pushing the limit of what should be kept private, I can also speak for the majority of people when I say the iPhone is something that I never see myself giving up anytime soon.